Well, hello. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the myths and some of the truths behind your tankless water heaters. Now, tankless water heaters have been around for quite some time. You just didn't really see them in residential new construction applications until about 10 or 15 years ago. And now they're pretty much the norm. If you're buying a brand new house, you're more than likely going to have a tankless water heater, although there are some builders who still go for the old, reliable, conventional water heaters. A lot less going on in there, a lot less to mess up, although these things have been really good for us. We do have a few that mess up every now and again, but we install these by the thousands. So, homeowners that aren't used to these, they ask me a lot of questions, and it's the same questions over and over again. So I got me a list, and I'm going to try to run down it. Somewhere somebody started a rumor that this thing can make instant hot water. Well, people think that as soon as you turn on the faucet, I'm going to have hot water instantly. No, that's not exactly what this is designed to do. It may make hot water pretty fast right down here at the base of it, but it's still got to travel down your plumbing lines. Just like your conventional tank style water heater, it's gonna take a few seconds to get that hot water to you. Now, our little code for this is there's an acceptable temperature loss of 15 degrees. So if you've got this set at 120 and you got 105 degrees coming out your faucet, that's acceptable. The other thing is no longer than 3 minutes to deliver hot water to a fixture. So as long as it's less than 3 minutes, as far as codes and stuff go, we're okay. But it's not going to get there instantaneously, not by itself. There are circulator pumps and things that you could get to do that, but that's extra equipment and most builders aren't going to pay for that. So this unit is going to work very similar to a conventional water heater when it comes to the length of time that it takes to get to a fixture. Because it still has to make its water. It's not sitting here holding water. So you've got it anywhere from 8 to 28 seconds worth of a fire up time. So there is a little bit more of a delay on this than on your conventional tank style water heater who has water sitting there in a reservoir ready to go for you. How this thing works is cold water coming in. Most of the time this is static, it's just under pressure. It's holding about 75, 80 PSI. When you open that faucet, you create a pressure loss which turns that into velocity, and the water is going to start moving from the high side to the low side. It's just flow rate, and it runs into this water heater. There's a little propeller, they call it an impeller because it's inside. That little impeller is going to start spinning. When it does that, the motherboard tells it to open its gas valve, well, turn on its fan, open its gas valve, and then it's going to start click, click, click. It's got a little igniter in there that's going to ignite the burner box that's going to start heating the water in that heat exchanger, and then you're going to have water here at the base. And like I said, anywhere from 8 to 28 seconds, and then you got the travel time on that pipe. So just remember that it's not instant. It's endless hot water. Once you get hot water to that fixture, you're going to have as much of it as you want for as long as you want. This thing's going to continue to run. One of the other things that comes up a lot is, well, it takes 2 or 3 minutes to get my hot water. What if we turn the temperature up in it? Will that get the water to me faster? No, because what this thing works, it works off of a temperature rise, an increase of temperature. Most of the time they're set at a 60-degree temperature rise, which is typically the water coming in the ground is going to be about 60 to 65 degrees, which gets you up to that 120. Now that's based off the size of your heater. This particular model here is 8.4 gallons a minute. So at a 60-degree temperature rise, 8.4 gallons a minute is what this is going to make. Now, if you turn that thing up, and you can turn it up all the way up to 140, if you do that, you're going to cut that flow rate in half. It's going to drop from 8.4 down to like 5 gallons a minute, and you're actually hurting yourself by turning it up. You're actually slowing that delivery rate by turning it up. Now, once you get the water there, It's going to be within that acceptable temperature loss of 15 degrees, so about 135 degrees at your fixture. So turning the tankless water heater up isn't going to do anything for your rate of delivery. It's actually going to delay it because it stays in that burner box a little bit longer to warm it up that extra 20 degrees. A lot of people ask me, maybe this thing stopped working. I mean, we install thousands of these things, and maybe one of them just quit working for some reason. And I'll get a homeowner call me and say, I think my pilot light went out. There's no pilot light in this thing. When this thing is just sitting here and nobody's asking for hot water, it's not using any power, it's not using any gas, it's just sitting here. This thing has an electric spark type igniter, like a spark plug, or one of those gas grill igniters where you push the button in and it shoots a spark. But of course this is all electronic and it shoots a pretty good spark across there. So no pilot light. This thing ignites itself when you open a faucet and ask for hot water. It goes through a cycle, ignites it, and then it starts its process of delivering that hot water. I have a lot of homeowners ask about a gas smell. Normally these things are located on the outside of a garage wall, and maybe they're out there on a Saturday with the garage door open, sitting having, you know, a little picnic or whatever, and somebody turns on that hot water and, oh, I smell gas for a few seconds. Well, this is a gas appliance. It's no pilot light. It has to ignite. So it's going to open its gas valve, and then it's going to start click, 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 trying to ignite that, and every time this thing fires off, there's going to be a little poof, puff of unburnt natural gas or propane that comes out, and you're going to get that rotten egg smell. Now, when this thing is running, this is exhaust, and exhaust does have an odor to it, although it is a little bit different than that rotten egg smell. I've never really had a gas leak on the inside of one of these. If this thing is sitting here still and you walk by it and nobody's been using it and you smell gas, it's probably in one of your connections underneath. It's loose or something happened to it. So that is a big question I get asked, is I smell gas, and it's perfectly normal for that little puff of gas right at the beginning. Cold water sandwich. And this is one of the questions I get asked is, when I stop using my hot water, my water heater sits there and runs for a minute or so. Well, that's what it's supposed to do, because these things have what they call a cold water sandwich. Which is, say you're in the bathroom, maybe you're shaving or you're washing dishes or something, and you're using that hot water, and then you're turning it off, and you're doing whatever, and then you turn it back on. This thing will run and keep hot water inside of it for a minute or so. That way you don't get a little warm water, oh, it's really cold, oh, now it's hot again, because it's continuing to flow, whether it's firing or not. So now if you turn the water off for like 5 minutes or so, it's going to shut down, it's going to quit burning, that water's going to cool off, and yeah, you're going to get a column of cold water. That's that cold water sandwich is what they call it. You'll have a little bit of hot water come at you, then a little bit of cold, and then a little bit of hot. But this thing does run for a few minutes after it is, you stop asking for hot water, and that's what the question is. The thing keeps running. Why is it still running? It's to alleviate that column of cold water coming at you, so you can work that faucet on and off. Efficiency. These things are very efficient. This particular model is what they call a non-condensate unit. It's got a single copper heat exchanger in it that does all the work. Now there's another one called a condensating unit, which has the copper heat exchanger and then a stainless steel heat exchanger on top of it, which uses the exhaust coming out to preheat the water before it goes into the main heat exchanger, or some people call it the core. But the problem with that is it produces condensate, a lot of moisture in that exhaust, and it has to catch that exhaust, and you're going to see another tube hanging down underneath it, and there's going to be water dripping out the bottom of it when it's running because it's condensating. I get a lot of people say, I got a leak, and they had a condensate unit and there's water pouring out the bottom of it, just a little drip drip, and that's perfectly normal. That's what they do if you have a condensate unit, but those things are a lot more efficient than this particular model here. Now, back to efficiency, this thing is a lot more efficient than your conventional tank style water heaters. It's just when people get these and they start experiencing what endless hot water's like, you know, this thing doesn't just run out of water after 50 gallons. It's going to continue to run as long as you want hot water. So people tend to wash their hands a little bit longer. People tend to take longer showers because you're not worried about running out of cold or running out of hot water. If y'all remember that, I remember I had 2 siblings and we were always fighting with each other about the showers and running out of hot water. Well, you're never going to run out of hot water with one of these things, and that's what people tend to do. They tend to take longer showers, so they actually kill the efficiency by using more water, but it's a luxury. The last one here, I have a lot of people who ask me, do you have to have gas? Pretty much to get the efficiency, yes, you have to have propane or natural gas. This is a propane unit that I am actually running off of a 20-pound gas grill tank, which you can do. I've seen a lot of people do that for camper showers and like little log cabins or whatever, and just have one little tank where you're not using a whole lot. They do make these in electric, but they're really energy hogs. They haven't quite figured that out. They're getting better with them, but the electric ones, some of the drawbacks are they're normally in 2 banks or 4 banks, and each one of those banks has to have 240 volts of electricity ran to it on a dedicated circuit on its own breaker. So you'll have 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, 240, and that's a lot of juice. And I mean, they work, and if that's what you want, the application that you want, you can get them, but that's probably the least efficient way to heat water. So they just haven't figured them out yet. Now they have some small ones, little Insta-Hot things that can go under a sink, and those things work great, but they only generate about 1 gallon of water per minute, and you pretty much see those in construction site trailers and maybe some little small bathrooms. But that's it. That's some of the basics, the big questions that I get asked all the time. I hope that was informative, and hope you know a little bit more about Tankless. Thanks a lot.